Hey everybody, welcome to the Deep Dive Show. My name is Mpomo Tauriro. Our goal with this show is to bring you and I in proximity to the people and ideas that will show us that it is possible and it can be done, and eventually help us achieve on our dreams and goals. Today, we have a special guest. He was awarded the 2017 Best Youth in Academic Excellence by Botswana Youth Awards. He was recognized in that same year as the 12th most influential youth in Botswana. He was nominee of the 2018 Africa Youth Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. This man has built the Cricket Tuition empire to 53 centers, including a school, a preschool in Botswana and in South Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming Moemedi Senwelo. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yes, sir. You are a man that has done so much and contributed so much actually also to the development of business and entrepreneurship in the country. I'd go on to say you're actually one of the most exciting entrepreneurs we have in the country at actually a young age. So I wanted to ask you, just off the bat, what does success mean to you?
I will take it the L. Nightingale's definition.
Yeah.
L. Nightingale says success is
The progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about success as total fulfillment, having achieved everything that you have desired, like your goals having come into reality.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, success is about achieving goals, about reaching your targets, realizing your dreams.
Reaching your targets, realizing your dreams. So a lot of us, a lot of nowadays, there's a lot, going on about, being happy with what you do, being happy with your work. And I wanted to ask you, in the sense, following up from what you just said, how do you see the balance of actually having results, right? Because as a business person, the results are important. You need to actually have, the tangible evidence that what you're doing is working and it's showing results, but also linking it with being happy and fulfilled, as you said. How do you maintain that balance for you?
In terms of results achievement?
Having the real life data of, you as we have just spoken, you've gotten many awards and, you have built a whole empire now of tuition centers. What is that balance of doing something that you do very well, but also liking what you do? Let me put it this way.
Really, yeah, I think I live and breathe this thing. Almost 80% of my time, I spend it in cricket. I spend it working around the business idea. When I wake up, I'm thinking business. When I go to sleep, the last thing I think is business. So I only take a break when I sleep. Yeah. So I have learned also to create time for family. Like I used to live like 7 days a week, just work, no life. But I've learned to say, okay, if it's a weekend, Saturday I can work up to 1 p.m. after 1, and Sunday I don't touch any work. I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my sons. Yeah.
Okay. Beautifully put. I wanna there's follow-up questions I have on that one, but I wanna park them for now. I want to jump in onto this one though. I have interviewed Thabo Batlopi, Huitimang, and I've just been following. There's also I'm gonna mispronounce the same name, Gaho. He's a man into business and he posts a lot on Facebook. And then there's you. All of you actually fellowship at the same church, Royal Assemblies, if I believe so. Okay. But I was wondering, like, so many entrepreneurs in one place. Maybe what's there that's really, even BF Rams is a powerful in his respect and a businessman also.
Yeah, BF Rams is a great mentor. I that will account for the reason why all the people that you have mentioned have one way under him or have been under him like me. He's a great mentor. He's an entrepreneurial pastor. Like when you are under his church or under his mentorship, you get to learn a lot about business. You get to learn about a lot about personal development. So I've really learned a lot from him in terms of growing into being excellent, to growing into thinking big, to growing into thinking, conquering my industry and being the best in what I do. It was a result of me being under his mentorship and listening to his audios, going through those audios and attending his personal development sessions. Those impacted me in a positive way. To say, it's one of the people that I will always acknowledge in my journey to being where I am. He really has impacted me a lot in terms of his messages, his personal development philosophy. Yeah, it was a game changer for me.
How is God, how do you do as a businessman now, as a businessman and as a Christian man, how does your spiritual life link with what you're doing in business?
I would say the reason why I am where I am in business is because of my belief in God. Everything that I've done it was pure faith. I totally believed that starting a business without capital, I believed God for the customers. I remember in one of my books I mentioned when I got into Francistown, I prayed for business. I prayed for customers, and the message or the impression that I got from my heart was that you will get customers from the east, customers from the west, customers from the north, customers from the south. And I believe that was God's voice speaking to me. And within 1 month, the whole place was full. I have never seen that happen. That was a miracle. Like, how do you start a business and the first month is you're already packed up, you already reached your capacity. So I believe where I am is because of God, is because of the principles that I have followed that are in line with God's word and the faith that I had in God to say, Lord, do this, let your will be done.
Powerful. We're going to pause here for a break and we'll be back with Moemedi Senwelo. You're watching this video. I'm guessing there's some amount of value that you're getting from this video. I'm here to tell you that we have more. We've created a Patreon account. This is a monthly subscription-based model where you'll be investing as little as $5 a month to be able to support our work. And in turn, you will have access to behind the scenes, exclusive content, live shows, and even information on future events. Your investment into us allows us to be able to create more and better content, to be able to push these stories off. It is possible and it can be done. So if that sounds interesting to you, head over to patreon.com/deep dive sessions and become a patron. See you on the inside. Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive Show. I'm here with Moemedi Senwelo. So, Mr. Senwelo, you've built Cricket from the ground up. I actually read both of your books as we already spoke. And what I wanted to really understand about, because it really ballooned, there was that period from 2011 till somewhere around 2016, where the business was up, down, up, down, up, down. So for me, can you put it in your own words, what really that I got at moment for you and how it shifted for you moving forward to be able to build it as big as it is today?
That was in 2018 when we introduced the franchise model. The franchise model, by the time we introduced it, we were at 6 branches in Botswana, just 6 centers. And introducing the franchise model, it means now we allowed other people to share in the risk to open more centers countrywide, and that picked the centers from 6 to 12. By the end of that year, we were at 12 centers, which was an increase of 100% increase from 6 to,
Yes.
to 12. So yeah, and then over the years, we kept on getting more people interested in being a part of this, owning a cricket franchise. And that is the secret of our growth. Like, you calculate today, say 53 centers. How many of them are run by the head office? Only 6, which means 53 minus 6 is 47.
47.
47 centers are run by franchisees.
Wow.
So basically, we are a franchise business. Our main business is franchising more than running the actual centers.
In just the space of 4 years, or
In
just
4 years.
over 3 and something years.
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
So how do you get into this model of franchising, and just break it down for us what it is and how it really made your business go like that?
Franchising basically, it's a system. You create a business system that is easy to duplicate. So if you can sit down and create a system and describe how everything functions, how everything works out, you have built a franchise. And now you have it with one branch, one business center. You have that business that you say, okay, this is how these things function. If you want it, you duplicate it as it is, and then you give someone an operation manual that to say, this is how the systems works, and it's easier for you to reproduce it as much as you can, as many times as possible.
Okay, so in your story, you talked about you going to UB and then FDing in the first semester, and then that's when you began the tutoring. Really, that's when you went back actually to tutoring, because you had already done it in your Form 5. Talk to me about how you really made that decision and how quickly, and because it seemed like a seemingly quick decision. You just failed and then you just jumped into that. It's like you didn't even feel the pinch of having FD'd from university.
Yeah, like you said, I had already immediately I finished Form 5. I started the tutoring business, and by the time I started university, I was already running a business. So the business was the one that was distracting me from focusing on my studies. That is the ultimate reason why I didn't succeed as a student. I failed. It's because I was already in business and I couldn't juggle school and business at the same time. So business took more time and I ended up compromising on my education and I failed. So failing means that I'm left with only one option, which is the business. And with the rule of our sponsor, you have to wait a year before you can apply back and go back to school, which means I had time on my side, a year. And the only thing that was there that was what that could keep me busy, that could make an economic activity for me, sustain me to live in Gaborone, was to run a business. And I ended up deciding to say, let me do this business thing full time. I'll find a way of furthering my studies in the future after the business has succeeded, after the business can afford to take me to school. And then I cut the option of going back to school after a year.
Okay, so in your experience now that you are now running all these, now that you are here as Moemedi Senwelo, what is, if you go back in time, who is the Moemedi Senwelo I'm meeting in secondary, moving also into tertiary? Who's that Moemedi Senwelo as compared to who we're seeing today as a person?
I have evolved in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think go secondary school, like I wrote in the book, I used to be into music. When I was in junior school, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a rapper specifically. I used to write lyrics. I used to want to be a hip-hop star. And getting into senior school, I became a Christian, and I discarded all that and said, okay, these are the things of the world. I can't do that anymore.
Yes.
So I had a different focus. I was that guy who was always reading the Bible, that guy who was reading religious books. I was that guy who was preaching to other students. So that's the guy that I was in my secondary years. And when I became a business person, I put on a different personality altogether after I finished formal secondary school. I just started being a business person and learning more about business and speaking business, basically.
So you said you read 79 books last year. Tell us about what it means. You're undoubtedly you're an avid reader, no doubt. Tell us about what essentially books are to you, and the knowledge you garner from that, and the importance of it as a business person.
I think it's Les Brown, if not Brent Tracy, or both of them. They say that if you read books in your industry for 1 hour a day. They say 1 hour a day. If you read books in your industry for 1 hour a day consistently, after 5 years, you have an equivalent of a PhD in your field. And they guarantee that you should be the best in your field. So ever since I heard that, I took it literally, and I've been reading on entrepreneurship. I've been reading entrepreneurship stories and learning from all the successful entrepreneurs and implementing and adjusting my business system from those books. And I guess that's the reason why cricket is number one when it comes to tutoring space. It was a result of continuously learning, practicing, and implementing what I learned.
So starting up, say I finished Form 5 just like you, and I now want to venture into business. What would you say to me if I came to you? I want to become a business person. I want to become like you. I look up to you and what you do. What would you say to me as a youngster, or even not even a youngster, because a lot of people start even at a pretty old age.
Yeah. Hey. I would. What would I say? I might be biased and tell you to go to tertiary first.
Yes.
But the truth is, if you have an idea, like I remember during the time when I was at university, I had this moral dilemma, and I had this guy who was tutoring me mathematics. There was a guy called Gabelo Sivan, he was tutoring me mathematics. I kept on going to him and saying, dude, I don't feel like doing this thing. We were doing mathematics, and he was helping me to get mathematics. But I was telling him, I don't feel like doing this thing. I want to go and do business. I feel like I'm wasting my time here. And he was like, as long as you have an idea that it will work, it will sustain you, there's no problem with that. Because he had already graduated. He was already done with his BSc in mathematics, and he was spending the whole day tutoring us there, and even didn't consider getting a government job. It's like, as long as you have an idea that is viable and it can work, it's my advice to that Form 5 students: if you have an idea that you think is viable, it can work, and you have did your research, your guts and your instincts tell you that this thing can work, you can work on it, you have the energy, you have the patience, the perseverance, go for it. You will figure it out along the way how you're going to get qualified on the way, or how you're going to get educated. Because really, as much as tertiary education is promoted and is exalted, you are basically going there to learn a skill that after you learn, you have to look for a job. But if you go for the route of starting your own business, it means you are creating employment for yourself and you're creating employment for other people. So it's practically the same thing. The 4 years that you spend in tertiary is the 4 years that you could spend building a business. So I wouldn't discourage a Form 5 leaver to neglect the whole idea of going to tertiary and focus on building a business, as long as they are sure of what they're doing. They have done their research, they have done their due diligence, and their instincts and their guts tells them this thing can work, because that's the most thing that matters.
I like that last part, their instinct and their guts tell them that this thing can work. We're going to pause here for a break and we'll be back with Moemedi Senwelo. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Moemedi Senwelo. So Mr. Senwelo, you have three boys. You have three boys. I wanted to ask you this question in this sense. What are some of the core lessons you'd you'd feel like if you died today without passing to your boys, you wouldn't have done a good job?
Basically, the whole business management model. I think, yeah, it will be a big error to die before I could induct them into how to build a business, how to run a business, how to grow a business, and how to sustain a business. Really, yeah, I don't want. I want this to be something that they're going to run with, something that they're going to make me retire early, and they operate it, and I sit down and they operate it. So if I die for that, it will be a big error.
Okay, so how would you go about inducting them, and also growing that desire for them to get into it and get their feet wet into the ins and outs of the business?
I've just decided that I'm going to continuously introduce them to different aspects of the business so that they know how it functions. They participate in, even if they participate in some aspects of the business, so that they see the value in it. They see the value in it in terms of how it adds to their lives. Like, okay, I get a salary from that business, is the one that I used to get them clothes, food, accommodation, and stuff. So they should also see the same value, and they should be jealous with it and protect it and want it to grow, knowing that this is what sustains us. This is our legacy. This is what we wouldn't have to struggle as our father struggled. We just going to learn skills that can come and take this company greater.
Powerful. I want to talk about how in your book you talk about how you met your wife, Masunelo, and how she became the manager of a branch. So I wanted to ask you this question in the sense that how do you manage the relationship as you'd be the boss to her? How would you manage that relationship like that, and also balance it out also as husband and wife now? How does that how does that how does that balance work?
Yeah,
I think it's very delicate.
It's a tough one, practically. After some time, at the beginning, it was easy. We were just agreeing in everything, but I guess to a point where we don't agree in everything. So we ended up saying, okay, I ended up giving her responsibility to say, okay, take some of the centers and you run them as franchises. I'll run the whole system, the head office basically, which runs the franchises and the non-franchises. So she runs a certain number of franchises and she focuses on them. She makes her own decisions. She makes her own income. She has her own domain there within the company. I have the overall view, so to avoid that we don't have so many arguments and disagreements and differences in terms of how things should be done.
That's deep. That's deep. So you recently went to the Dubai 2020 Expo. Talk to me about the value of traveling, and you were in Durban just not so long ago, and many other places. Talk to me about the value of traveling as an entrepreneur and how that works out for you.
Traveling for me, it sparks innovation. It sparks creativity. It really inspires you. When you go to other places like Dubai, you see how their systems are, everything, infrastructure. You even get to find out how they are doing the education system and how they are well regulated and well coordinated. So you always come fully loaded with ideas of how to better things on your own business or on your own system. You just get a lot of ideas and inspiration, and you get to refresh. I guess for Devin it was a vacation, so I just got to refresh and read and get even more ideas from the book that I was reading. Yeah. So that's traveling really it is about sparking innovation and creativity and learning from others how they do things. Yeah.
In Botswana, who can you point out maybe or name out in terms of those people that you look up to and learn from in the entrepreneurial journey or otherwise? Some people that you look up to. I know you already talked about Dr. B. Frames. Are there any other that you would draw some inspiration from?
For me, it has to be the founder of Sprint Careers. That was my first inspiration. Her name is Pinky Scalocosi, and the other one is Michelle. I think it's Michelle Gabriel. They're two co-founders of Sprint Careers.
Okay.
I remember I read that story back in 2011. It was on that magazine. There was a magazine called Wealth Magazine.
Yeah.
They were the cover page of that magazine. They had just, I think, 4 years in the business, and how the business had expanded, how it has surpassed those whom they found in the industry. I read that story and I was inspired. That is why I had the idea that I can build a business that can spread across the country, that can grow in that short period of time. Even them, they were 4 years into the market and already they were already beating both DHL, they were already beating the Botswana Couriers and all these companies that have been existing in the courier industry for years. I was like, these two women are my heroes. I've never met them yet. But one of my desires is that one day I should meet them in person and just
Have a conversation.
yeah, just appreciate them for the inspiration, basically. They don't know it, but they inspired me to think a Motswana person can start a business and it can grow and even surpass the foreign, like DHL. DHL is everywhere in the world. It's one of the biggest companies in the world. Like Spring Couriers in Botswana is based DHL in terms of courier services. So,
Okay.
Pinky Stalkhosi and Michelle Gabriel.
All right. So talk to me about Botswana entrepreneurs. Just in your own assessment of the ones you've interacted with and the ones you know, what is one thing that you notice about Botswana entrepreneurs that maybe you'd like to, or maybe your own advice to Botswana entrepreneurs and just basically across the board as a general advice? What would you say to a Botswana entrepreneur or Botswana who's in business right now, trying to make it big?
I think it has to do with the issue of funding or capital. Most of entrepreneurs, they relegate business startup to having funding or capital or getting a loan from somewhere to start. And someone will not start because they are waiting for CEDA to give them a loan, or they're waiting for a certain bank or for a certain individual to borrow them money to start. So that is the biggest mistake that we make, and we delay ourselves to start. But my advice is, if you have a skill, if you are good at IT, you can start your gigs, do some jobs, create someone's a website or do graphics and you keep on building from that skill that you have. You keep on building from that skill that you have until you have an operations, you have a business, you rent a small office where you can receive your clients and you can service them. It's not about having capital and starting with everything fully fledged. You can start with the skills that you have, with that laptop that you bought, with your allowance, and you start doing something daily. You start selling whatever you can sell and picking from there slowly. If you read all the great entrepreneurship stories, some of them, like Warren Buffett, they were selling newspapers. He will be selling newspapers and doing something, and the money that he's making from selling newspapers is the one that he's using to invest in the greater idea. It's not necessarily that if your idea, maybe it needs $1 billion to start, and you might not easily get that $1 billion, but you can do something that can help you to raise that $1 billion, or build a business that can help you raise that $1 billion.
Yes, sir.
So you don't necessarily have to wait for capital. That's my advice.
I think it's Vusi Tembokai who said a lot of these startups don't need money, they just need a customer. And then take it from there.
That's very true. Like if you give the customers the best service, they will recommend you and they will recommend you and they will recommend you. You'll have lots of customers and now you are forced to find a place and pay rent.
Yes, yes.
And they'll be paying for it.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Talk to me about your decision-making process. Like, for example, if you want to partner with somebody or you're looking to set up your franchise somewhere else, how do you break that down? Where do you start and what do you look for? Especially for the big decisions. How is your framework of thinking when you are in the ins and outs of making such a big decision?
It goes back to the issue of guts or instinct to say, okay, I have this idea, I want to go and start cricket in Johannesburg. And you know the barriers of entry into that market. There are barriers of entry that are out there. There are big players in that market who are established, who are white people, and there's a lot of racism there. So it has to do with instinct to say, can we make it in such a tough market? You know, it's not an easy one. It's not as easy as maybe if we were home. So making such a decision, it really takes instincts. Besides that, I have a coach, I have a mentor that I consult on ideas that have to do with business growth and business expansion. From time to time, we would analyze the idea, dissect it, and make sense out of it. And at the end of the day, we still trust the instinct that if we believe the time is right, there's no way we can have that impression when the time is not right. It definitely has to be the right time to launch the idea. And we know that starting a business is a process. It takes time for it to start paying you back. So there are going to be maybe 2-3 years of investing, and then you start getting your payback from the 5th year. So we understand that principle of business, that business doesn't pay you immediately. It will pay you after some time of building it.
Well put, sir. Well put. Before I ask my last question, where can we find you on and offline and engage with your work?
I have a Facebook page. It's Moemedi Senwelo. That's my official page. So I guess if someone wants to talk to me even closer, they can inbox the page, even to ask for the WhatsApp number, or so that's where they can get more information. Just search Moemedi Senwelo and go to the inbox of the page and send a message through there. We will respond to you in time. And
okay, so that's your main platform.
That's my main page. Besides the business pages, those are business pages. I mean, okay, they can go to Cricket page, but it's mainly about the service that Cricket offers. They can go to Freedom Books page to be mainly about the book services that Freedom Books offer. But hell, if they want to contact me directly, the Facebook page, Moemedi Senwelo, would be the ideal place to go.
Great. So my last question is, how do you want to be remembered as Moemedi Senwelo?
How do you want to be remembered? I guess I want to be remembered as this guy who revolutionized the education industry. Because I'm looking at bringing in a different education model that is relevant, that produces industry leaders. If possible, I want a total overhaul of the entire education system. Because right now, the current one, it's outdated, it's irrelevant to our times. So I want us to come up with an education model that could really prepare people for life, prepare people for the work industry, for business. Not for them to study and they add numbers to the statistics of unemployed graduates, or they add numbers to the unemployed. It's just something that is different, and I have an idea of it. And we are already piloting it more cricket in the cricket centers. We are piloting it. We are doing personal development. We are doing leadership. We are doing entrepreneurship as part of our extracurricular activities. So we are looking at starting from there and eventually even selling the idea to the government.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Moemedi Senwelo. You've just heard and just learned about how he has built such an empire of cricket tuition. This man has impacted so many students across the country and even in other countries, and he's just beginning, as you may see. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to like, comment below what you think, and subscribe to the channel. And we will meet each other next week, same time, same place. Be great.